This
is this where you come into your steam? This is where you have your steam bath, is it?
Yeah.
Well, that steam bath works. Let me tell you. Yeah, this is nice. So Leo's finally got his first house. I'm a little poorer, so I can't afford one just yet. But yeah. Well, anyway, if you're new to the channel, welcome to the Ironman. The reason this is good is because we can't trade on the trade house, and I have to be PvP flagged the whole time unless I'm like grouping for PvE dungeons. That's where it works. So it's basically like a survival game where you have to make everything yourself. So yeah, so that's why it's kind of momentous that he saved up enough money and bought himself a little house. So as the good person that I am, of course, I make him some house. I bring him some house gifts to furnish his house. Yeah, definitely. I can make you a bed right now. You want a bed? I'll make you a motherfucking bed. Yeah, you want a little bed?
I would quite like a bed.
Yeah, okay, come on. I'll make you a bed. Would you like a bunk bed or just a normal bed?
Yeah, just a normal bed.
What if I come to stay? So, I'd like to give you, first of all, made you this, a little bed for you. But also made you a bookshelf.
Oh, thank you.
It's not really much of a bookshelf, it's got food and shit in there. It's more of a kitchen thing, really, isn't it?
Did it say it was a bookshelf?
Yeah. So what are the people like? The Evans gamers?
Most of them are pretty nice. Unfortunately, it's run by the syndicate, so not many churches. But
no.
I'm thinking.
And they're all like, "We're smart. We like to read. Make me a bookcase." Yeah, I'll make you a fucking bookcase. It's gonna have plates and bowls in it. You dumb fuck. That's who I give. That's who I give to people I hate. So I did a pretty good job for his initial house decorating. There's the kitchen. Well, I have to say that I feel like it's put some cactuses and plants on the upper deck, which I thought was a nice touch. And then, of course, the upstairs bedroom where he was decorating with some pictures. So that's the house. Mine will be next. As you know, we were called the Knights of Iron, but one of my subscribers, I'm pretty sure he's a subscriber, came up with like an epic name. So there you go, friend. You helped change our name. This is now the Iron Blood Knights. So anyone who's been watching will know that I'm currently working on getting my furnishing to 200. The short-term goal is 100 because I want to be able to make the trophy so I can make good quality gear. So I'm just running around here getting the iron because you need steel to make what I'm trying to make. And then I come to Weaver's Fens and I run around through the swamps so to collect oil because you need the oil as well to make the stain that I need, maple stain. So yeah. So after all that hard work, collecting the oil, doing the iron run, converting it to steel, getting the number, I get rewarded with 1 level. Yay. Oh! We're off. We're in. Oh, god damn it.
Who are they?
Syndicate. So I arrive a little late because my computer, or the game crashed. And so the syndicate person's proceeding to run them around the whole map, but I quickly get aggro, so look at that. So there's some pro aggro moves there. And take control. Take control. So if you remember, I was having problems in the last, while I was taking last time, because I was having problems holding aggro. So in this one, I've put the taunt gem on my sword, but silly old me forgot to use the sword that I have hated on. So, and my Warhammer doesn't have the threat either, so that will come into play a little bit later.
Some syndicate smart guy, he couldn't even see the chest.
Yeah. So I knew there were problems because that heavy-hitting, amazing Covenant Knights that were fighting beside me, I just couldn't seem to get the aggro and pull her to where I wanted. She just wasn't following me, so I knew that I wasn't getting the aggro. You know, maybe if I had a team of syndicate people with me, it would have been okay, or a team of marauders, but I didn't. I had Covenant, so they kept pulling the aggro. So I come over here to try to get aggro off this dog. I'm all ready. He's coming out. Got to get the threat. and he just runs to the other side of the room like someone put down some dog food. So run up to him, I'm hitting him on the side, I'm like, come on Rover, let's go, I need you over here, I need you away. And he finally gets on me, but then my teammate dies. Poor old Leos. But someone revives him, and then so I try to pull him back, and I've got the right dog this time. You want the fire-breathing dog. Someone else dies. Oh, it's the Syndicate. Of course it's the Syndicate. Who else would it be? It's not going to be one of the Covenant Knights, is it? One of the brave, powerful Covenant Knights. The meta. I want to do a playthrough where I don't die, so, and I hold the threat easily. Like, I want to do a smooth run through. Obviously, I was kind of stupid and I didn't use hate on my sword, so it was hard to hold aggro right from the start, so that was the biggest problem, because you're supposed to split them up. So, I know what the problem is. We did end up killing them. I ended up having a pretty smooth one with Zal. The only problem with that is I couldn't pull her where I wanted to, because again, I just needed that extra aggro so I could pull her into the corner. So you can see here I pulled her into the corner alright, but it took me a long time to get there, and you'll see that she sprayed the pedestals all over the place, like, you know, not very clean, not very tidy. So yeah, we end up, it wasn't a perfect run, so marginally my fault, so I'll take that on the chin, improve next time. But we do end up doing the dungeon, so it wasn't the end. So I've been doing some OPRs. Started off with my Greatsword and Sword and Shield, and it's hard to know a little bit whether you're being effective or not. Honestly, the differences between, I was on Delos and now I'm on Sutek, and there's actually quite big differences, I reckon, between the two servers. I've noticed on Sutek you get way more, like, organized 5-mans running around from guilds. Sometimes, like, you'll get 2 5-mans from the same guild. So you'll just, like, here, you'll just have, like, 5 or 10 people all just, like, all training you at the same time. So it's really fun. But if you take down their healer, it tends to really destroy their the 5-mans will fall apart pretty quickly after that. So you can see here, there's the healer here, so we all get on top of her, finish her off, or him off, whoever it is. And then, yeah, and then their little 5-man falls apart because they've no longer got their healer. In the end though, me and both Leos want to play a duo and a, like, weapon combination that can turn the tide of battle, that can really put pressure on these 5-mans, and that can really help, like, your team win the OPR. And so, yeah, not sure, like, potentially that could be mage, or potentially that could be tank. We had to do some testing. But yeah, so that's kind of like what we're interested in doing. So that's why I feel like, yeah, it's hard to know whether the tank's doing well, but we do kind of find out the answer a little bit later. I do see that when I'm blocking there, it's not like they're not getting anything out of it. All the teammates surrounding me in that fight there were getting 30% less damage, so that's a pretty massive buff to them that you're helping them with. So yeah, it's just hard to know from the leaderboards because they don't show, like, how much damage you took and how much damage you reduced, so as a tank, so it's hard to know if you're actually being effective or not. But you can see a really good example here. So we're getting pushed back by our team, by their team, and we've got only a couple of guys there and amongst a whole bunch of them, and so I come in and I'm just blocking. So they're taking 30% less damage now, remember, and obviously they're standing in their heals, but look at their health bars, it's not going down at all, and there's like a bunch of the enemy there too, so I really do think that tanking helps. And then I do the same sort of thing down here. You can see this guy's heavily outnumbered, so I come in, start blocking to get that damage reduction off on everyone around me. But you also see, when you see that we are outnumbering, then I can quickly switch to the Greatsword and go a bit more DPS, stun these guys. And so, yeah, having that tank in there, reducing the damage, being able to switch to DPS when I need to when things are going our way, it's definitely a fun playstyle. So we actually end up, and I just love the grinding in the middle, the big, just fucking right in the middle of the battle, like that's kind of fun. But yeah, so we do end up beating these guys, they push through, but of course, camo, heal, damage reduction, tanking, protects our guys along with the healers, along with Leos' heals and the other healers. We push through. See another classic example here where our guys are trying to push through the door, so I'm just trying to give them that damage reduction so they don't take any damage, because this is kind of the bottleneck, so this is the dangerous part when you're pushing in. So I take heaps of damage there, so I sort of try to get out of it. But then I realise I'm out of my heals, so I come back in. And then I just block to get my heals back up. You know, and the good thing is, while I'm blocking getting my health back up, I'm also helping my allies. So that's really helpful. And then I just switch to DPS to finish the last few people off. So I'm leveling up my Great Axe and Warhammer as well, because the Warhammer is quite good for tanking, and it'll allow me to go bruiser, so I'm just running around in medium armor. While I collect my... I'm collecting mats, because unfortunately, you can't create... I can't remember the name of it. Is it Pure Solvent? Whatever the one is that you need to make maple stain, you can't actually convert that in the trade center, so... that's my limiting factor, so I'm out here collecting that so I can make lots of it, so I can level up my finishing. My Greatsword is just closing in on 600, so that is getting super exciting. So I finally make a lot more maple, well, enough maple stain that I get from the pure solvents anyway. And make myself 30 beds, get myself another level. Slow going now. It's a lot of work just to get one level. So given my pure solvent shortage, Leo says that, remember he's doing the Ironman as well, so me and him can trade with each other. Okay, so me and him, I give him some wire weave and I give him something else. As a trade, I give him some obsidian sandpaper and then he gives me 800 solvent, yeah, pure solvent. Oh baby, so I make myself some maple stain and then I make myself basically a whole warehouse of beds, 120, and that gets my level up. It's a decent amount, so yeah, I'm approaching, getting close to 100 now. Since I've been leveling up my Great Axe and Warhammer and Leos was healing, I thought, you know, and I've played Bruiser before, so I know what I'm doing, although it's been a while. And so I thought, you know what, I'm going to come in and try out the Bruiser and see how that works. Because, you know, I should do well on that. I've played Bruiser before. Gear score should too much of a difference.
Oh god.
That's price going down.
So then I'm like, fuck this, I'm changing to tank then. Because, like, you know, I'm like just so squishy right now. So I put on the old trusty tank gear, the old Greatsword, sword and shield, and back out I go. So once again, we've got a clump of people of my team in here, so I can just, well, I can stun this guy, but I can also block and just reduce all the damage that they're getting taken. Right now, we're just trying to get a foothold because they've pushed us back to the gates. As, God, so many teams seem to be doing these days. So I'm just really doing this because there's a lot of range damage coming in. So if I'm just like blocking, I'm hopefully preventing a lot of damage that they're taking. So now the enemy team's pushing in really, really hard. And so I'm just trying to stun them when I can and reduce the damage to my teammates when I can. So there's this guy who's pushed in really far into the back. So I'm just really trying to put pressure on him. You know, stun him when I can, although he seems to be doing a better job of me than that. Try to do some DPS in my Greatsword, but I just take way too much damage. So I go back to the tank, sword and shield, just blocking, getting some fortify up, and then just really just blocking and trying to reduce their damage that they're taking. I just wish I could know how effective this is, but you know, it's not just this one guy that's standing in here. I mean, there's a lot of ranged people standing on the outside firing into these guys. And so to be taking 30% less damage is such a huge buff. And so now we've kind of taken care of the mid there, so just got to finish these guys off. There's a healer there, so he becomes the target, and everyone sort of jumps on him, which is good. Take out one of the healers, that's like a massive, yeah, problem for them. So now we've taken out the healers, and so it's just a matter of charging down the hill now and wiping these guys out.
Okay, well, I mean, that felt way
So I was just saying this feels way better already. I mean, you could definitely notice the difference. I'm doing this thing here again where all our guys are rushing through the door, so I'm just trying to make sure that they're taking less damage as they try to push through the door. So all I do is block and reduce that damage that they're taking. You can see that many of them are taking damage as they rush through. And so now we've outnumbered them, so I can switch it up a little bit to DPS. and just stick on people. There's a healer here, so just trying to be a nuisance to him. And yeah, it's just cleanup time. But yeah, so as soon as I switched over to the tank gear, man, what a difference. And unfortunately, it's hard to know, as I've mentioned multiple times, how much you help your team. But it did sort of seem like as soon as I switched over to tank, all of a sudden the battle tide changed, and all of a sudden we're pushing them back. And so, I mean, obviously I'm not the only reason, but I'm thinking that tanks actually do, like 1 or 2 tanks littered throughout your team to reduce that damage makes a huge difference. So yeah, I think it's helping. So there's another point here where it kind of comes through as maybe it is helping. I mean, so I'm standing here amongst all these people. Now, say they get hit for 3k, and I'm doing a 30% damage reduction. Then that's like 1k of damage that I've just healed them for, effectively. Now, if they're taking multiple damage, which they will be, because look, there's all those ranged people up there firing in at us. There's all these AoEs coming down. And so, as the thing about damage reduction over healing is healing doesn't scale, but damage reduction does. So the more damage that comes in, the more damage essentially that you heal if you do damage reduction. So if I'm doing 30% damage reduction, and someone takes 10k damage, then I will heal them for 3k. If they take 20k damage, then I heal them for 6k. So damage reduction is always more effective than healing as damage starts to ramp up and scale up. So that's one of the advantages of having a tank, in my opinion. This is what I've known from other MMOs. Damage reduction is always king over healing in general, because healing doesn't scale.
Nah, it's not your fault.
So I actually come back out, and Leos tells me that as soon as I died, yeah, the team kind of did die a lot quicker and fall apart, so they pushed us all the way down to the door. And then when I come back out, we kind of stall them a lot more. Now, I'm not saying this is all my fault. I'd be crazy to say that. I'm just saying that it does seem like when I'm tanking, it shifts the momentum a lot. Now, obviously, you're going to need heals. Like, obviously, heals are super, super important. I'm just saying that to also have that damage reduction, which scales with increasing damage, then it's like a massive boon to your team. So I'm sort of justifying why I'm tanking, you know. So, but you can see here, like I respawned and came out, and they were pushing us all the way from their base down to this base, and now their push is somewhat halted. They've still got the momentum on their side, but it's just like, yeah, I think the combination is just a very powerful combination. Seems to me, it's just so hard to test because there's no way of looking at the scoreboard and being like, you know, I basically reduced this much damage, or I, you know, helped out this much. And your score always sucks. You're always like the bottom of the table too when you tank, because like obviously none of this counts. It's the score just blocking and reducing damage. But look at this, right in the middle of the battle. This is a hell of a lot of fun. Push us into our base. I'm just sort of trying to stay alive at this point, trying to help out my teammates. We're completely outnumbered, but yeah, we end up losing the OPR. But yeah, so tanking is fun. Does it work? You tell me. So now oil has been added to my crafting runs, because I need to make my big bottleneck for the finishing is definitely that maple stain. So now I find myself spending a lot of time in Reaver's Fen, collecting that oil, looking for that oil. Still, make myself another 80 beds for the bed factory, and that gets me dun, 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 2 more levels. Man, close now. And then I come across the syndicate out in the open, and he doesn't fight me. He knows who the champion is. He just gives up. He becomes paralyzed with fear. He does some cursory movements in my general direction, but I teach him who the real tank is out of the two of us, and then finish him off. So I've got the pure solvent now, but now I'm just lacking the oil, so I need to do more of those oil runs for sure. And of course, me and Leos do our regular chest runs to keep leveling up. We're actually leveling up quite a bit. Like, nearly all my gear and armor is like about 550 now, so it's pretty decent. So try to do at least something as much as we can. So we're still making our way through brimstone sands. That acid is such a bloody pain in the ass. But yeah, so we're making our way through that, getting the quests done, talking to this guy, fighting undead mobs of Roman soldiers, fighting bug creatures that are made out of metal. Ah, yep, typical fucking syndicate. Hiding behind the door and then just walks in when everything's fucking taken care of. What a coward.
How do you feel? How do you feel about parkour? I don't think it's really worth it, to be honest.
What?
He fell off!
Did he?
He fell off!
So I might have to run around in light armor because I was sort of not thinking, and I went out with my under-leveled warhammer. I think it's only like 10 or 11, and I've got my sword and shield and I'm in heavy armor, and then this guy with a bow starts firing at me, which is kind of like the worst person you want to be firing at you, because like how the hell am I going to catch them? But you know, the rule is I have to be PB flag and fight people. I actually, to be fair, attacked them first because they were standing there, but then they ran away. And then I was like, okay, I'm never going to catch them. So then I went back to collecting herbs, and then they snuck back like a sneaky syndicate and started firing at me from a distance. So I'm just fighting this guy. He gets me pretty low throughout this fight, but I just seem to be able to get my health back pretty quickly, which is one of the good advantages of it. But yeah, if only I had my leveled up Greatsword on, I would have been able to do more damage to them. So I'm getting them quite low, doing their ulties. So yeah, I'm just fighting away. They get me, see, this is where they get me really low, but I'm able to stun them. Drink a potion, block. Just gotta get in. This bloody wolf gets involved.
Hold on.
So yeah, I'm just trying to wear them down. But then, see, I hit that bloody wolf instead of with my heavy armor. Heavy hit. And then I get my heal, my health back up. So, you know, even though they're getting me low, I don't really feel like I'm in too much danger. But then they just run off and I lose them. So I come back from my herb collecting. And then I make myself a whole bunch of infused health potions, which I can make now because I'm 150 Arcana. And which I'm in desperate need of because I was starting to run out. So, yeah. Pretty good herb run. Sorry everybody, Leos couldn't make it to the session today, so it's just me, one half of the Everfellas, but hope you all enjoyed the latest episode of Camo Communion Chronicles, the Ironman. Yeah, so at the moment tanking is working, but I will be hopefully trying different things. I'm actually quite keen on trying light armor again and just going full DPS mode and seeing how that works. But we'll keep you all in the loop as to how things go. And I will see you again on the next episode. Thank you very much.